My name is Trina. This is my truth.
Hi, my name is Gail, and this is my truth.
And this is our story.
I'm Gail. Background, I'm Guyanese. I've lived there for 16 years, and then I moved here when I was around 16. 28 years old. I come from a very, very strict Caribbean family. I was adopted when I was a baby, so my mom is Amerindian Guyanese, my dad is Portuguese Guyanese. My mom was a pastor. She's a pastor. We lived here. She lives in Far Rockaway. I live in Brooklyn. My dad passed away about 6 years ago. It was a crazy time in my life, but I miss him now. I really wish he was here now, because I felt like he understood me more than anyone in my family. When you talk to your parents about the process of your adoption and how it even came about, my dad always said that we knew we wanted you before you were even born because we were really close to your mother. So when my mom couldn't take care of me, my dad was the one who suggested that they take me.
My mother's side is from down south, North Carolina. My father's side is from Jersey. I'm also adopted. I actually grew up with my mom and dad, but I was taken from them because my father was incarcerated when I was only 7, and my mom lost us. She couldn't, pay for the bills or anything, so we had to go live with my godmother in South Orange, New Jersey, and that's where I was raised. Ever since I was 5, I knew I liked the girls, but I hid it because my godmother was a Christian.
I made out with a girl when I was 10, so it was really just a feeling of expression that I couldn't explain. And growing up in the Caribbean, it was like, okay, well, you might have feelings for girls, but you might want to keep that to yourself. But I would say about 10, I decided to, hey, this is where I'm at. I like girls, and this is what I want to be with. I dated the opposite sex up until I was about 21, mainly because I was still living, or I would say really close to my family at the time, and still trying to respect some type of wishes of my family. At 21, when I really just moved out, even though I came out to my parents when I was 16, I told them. But at that time, I just wanted to have fun with my life. And that's what I did. I just really had fun with my life. I dated both. And I didn't feel like I needed to express whether I was into either or. I always felt more stronger to women. When I became 21, I moved out into my own space. I respectably just dropped all of that and told my family, hey, this is what it's going to be. It's either you guys love it or you don't. It caused some issues. It still causes a lot of issues. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't really care. When I was about 15 and I traveled here, my dad took my diary. I completely forgot my diary in Guyana. He sent it to my mom. Straight up photocopied it and sent it to my mom. So before I even got here, she already knew. Besides that, I kind of went through an extreme butch phase where I just wore a lot of baggy clothes. I'm an 80s baby, so around 2000, baggy clothes was in. So I wore a lot of baggy clothes, and they kind of knew from there, and they expected me to completely suppress it. They told me how embarrassing it was and how I make the family look and all this extra crap to really put you into a depressing space. And I'll admit I was extremely depressed throughout my 17 to about 21. It wasn't even my immediate family. It was the fact that we moved to America, and I moved with my sister because she was the one here. My mom signed over, her parental rights to my sister. So when I got here, my sister's husband is a complete homophobe. Me being gay wasn't a change of my personality or my attitude to life. It was just a change of who I wanted to be with for the rest of my life. My brother-in-law still has an issue with it up until this day. It's been, 12, 13 years now, and you still have an issue. It's more, I think, personal for him. Maybe he's closeted. He doesn't want to say anything. I don't know. But for you to feel some type of way about something that has nothing to do with you, you're an in-law. And my family is greatly influenced by him. Because I've sat there, at dinner with my whole family and have him completely degrade me and my whole family say nothing. I think that was the worst, feeling ever. And I totally wanted to just die at that moment. But I called my brother and I'm like, yo, I have to get out of here. I have to leave. And, he's supported me just coming and staying with him for a while, and I did. My family doesn't defend it, but they don't shun me away from anything either. Like, they just have to deal with it now. They have no choice but to deal with it. Because for me, I live by myself. You know, I mean, we live together, but I don't have to deal with you. You don't do anything for me, so, you know, I could stay over here in Brooklyn, you could stay over there in Far Rockaway, and we could keep it like that. I'll call you, make sure you're okay, and that's it.
My coming out story actually is when Gail came to my family cookout. My father, you know, he pulled me to the side and he was like, please don't tell me you're gay. Like, please. He's like, you're killing me. You're going to send me to an early grave. And I'm like, what do I have to do with anything? I'm like, Daddy, I can't help who I love. He's like, oh my God, no, not my daughter. Like, he went crazy. So it was a really crazy experience. But I had the person that I love next to me. And with everybody, like, some of my cousins was really happy. Like, yes, Trina, thank God that you finally out. Because they kind of knew. You know, I was really, like, open. I always told my cousins, definitely, like, my guy cousins, how I felt about girls. With her being there, it was, like, a relief. Although, like, I was kind of worried because I was hidden so long. I couldn't come out to my family. I had nobody really to talk to. Like, to this day, my cousins, even my godmother's sons, ask my little brother and sister, like, how do you feel about Trina's relationship? It gets me so upset because at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter who I love. Like, that don't change me as a person. It don't change how I feel about people. It don't change how I would treat people. I would give anybody the clothes off my back if it was my last. My father to this day have a problem with it a little bit, but he really keeps to himself now. But before he was like, oh my God, you're gonna kill me, I'm gonna have a heart attack, like being overly dramatic. And now I'm just happy now.
Coming out in Guyana was an issue, but also it kind of intrigued a lot of people. Because they're like, okay, well, you're bi, like, how does that work? What do you do? You know, are you really into girls? And, you know, I have guy friends that will point girls out. What do you think about that one? So they felt more comfortable to be around me. And I drew some friends in, but then I lost friends that I really thought were friends. I actually didn't experience anything traumatic until about, like, I would say 4 years ago, when I came out of a lesbian club with a few femme friends of mine. Mind you, I'm like the biggest one, the most like boyish one out of the group, and we got jumped by 7 guys. It was 5 of us, because one of the girls didn't want to talk to one of the guys. He threw a ball at her head. That, to me, right there was a red flag. She turned around and she was really upset. Me being the kind of person I am, I decided to say to her, like, listen, let's just go. Before I could even, like, really turn away and just diffuse as much of the situation as possible, we were in a scuffle. Don't know what happened. You know, I'm fighting one guy and the other one comes behind me and, like, grabs me by my dreads, wraps it around, like, pulls me to the ground. And, like, hits me with something. When we got to the hospital, it's like a gash. I actually still have the scar a little bit. I had 10 stitches. And, you know, I had to stay home from work a few days because one of my eyes were so bloodshot that it was just ridiculous. And then I went to visit a friend of mine that was in ICU at Columbia. Like, we went to King's Hospital and they took her to ICU at Columbia because of brain damage. That was kind of sad because out of all of us, she was the tiniest one. And I saw her get hit. You know, your friend is on the floor, they're not responding to anything you say. You see blood, and it's like, oh my God, somebody please call the ambulance. And then to have people around you just stand there and watch. Men not get involved, nobody calling cops. Mind you, we were like 2 blocks from the club, and the club had so many police in front of it. And then you get 2 blocks away, and you're like, well, what's going on? And then the cops show up, and they don't find it interesting enough to do an investigation. And then you waste so much time and money trying to get these people arrested and all this. You invest all that energy just for the courts to just be like, well, hey, whatever. You know, up until now, I don't think I've been to a lesbian club since then. I'll go to a boat ride maybe or a party that I know of, but to an actual club, no.
She have to be with her brothers or, you know, other, like a group of friends, not just us by ourselves.
The club setting for me, I feel like people have no boundaries these days, and people are very, very cruel and mean, and It's like, why? For us now, it's like, she's an extremely gorgeous girl. So it's like, that's another issue I have to deal with. Because it's like, okay, they're going to come at her and try to get at her, and then it causes an issue. Because if I say something, then it's an issue. And that's not cool, you know.
But she holds her ground, though. I still haven't experienced that much hate of being gay. Like, the worst thing I experienced, I guess, is my father, you know, like, telling me that I'm going to send him to his early grave and stuff, just acting so dramatic. But I never experienced that, and I hope and I pray to God that I never would. I can't believe that people have that much hate in them, you know, and it's a really scary thing because me and her go out and I get approached by guys all the time. So I never know when one is feeling like, oh, I'm gonna beat them up because they're gay. Oh, I'm gonna beat her up because, you know, she got this pretty girl. It's nuts. I hope and pray that we together never experience it. It's a scary thought, but I just hope that that never happens to us while we're together.
My experience with hate crime is definitely an eye-opener. I'm one of those people who like strongly believe in karma, and I feel like it'll come back tenfold. Living in the community and dealing with me being gay openly, completely open, back home in Guyana and also here. It's a little more freedom in America as long as you're not around too much Caribbean people. Walking down the street with Trina, it just depends on how we're walking, because I have friends of mine that say you would never know that we date sometimes because we're not OD affectionate to each other. I think that is also like a backlash of me being so like pulled back all these years that now it's kind of hard to be extremely affectionate in public. And when I am, when we're holding hands and you're like walking down the street going about your business, and you have these slurs thrown at you, you're like, you know, oh, burn a fire, like burn in hell. Like, how are you gonna just tell someone burn in hell for walking down the street and holding hands? I don't think I'm offending anyone. Like, my business is my business, yours is yours. But we deal well with it in public. Like, I'll just let you go about your business. You know, even with us, when I first met her, she was one of those people that would snap back at you in 2.5. Yes. And after my whole assault issue,
I heard about it.
I tell her, I'm like, you know, sometimes it's best to just walk away from a situation. I feel like sometimes that's just the best thing to do, just walk away, because you don't know how ignorant that person could be or what their intention might be towards you. And I like my life.
Exactly.
You know, I'm pretty young. I'm only 28 years old, so I have a lot more to go. So why end it because someone is just too stupid to understand that your life is meant for you? It's not meant to be lived for anyone else. You know, God put you on earth to just be happy with yourself. My struggle mainly for me in our relationship is towards my family. I think that's where I have to constantly defend it. I mean, I'm close to my family, so having that space is an issue that I had to work with over the years. Over the years, my mom has learned how to deal with me being gay. And believe it or not, the church she goes to is predominantly Caribbean. The main pastor is Jamaican. But we don't get that negative feeling when we go to church with Mom. They're very nice and open and loving. They'll come hug you. And, you know, we've been to one service one time where the service was so powerful that I ended up in the front with my mom crying. My stance towards religion, it's been iffy. I believe in a higher power. I'm just not sure what to call that higher power, kind of like that.
Like, God knows where my heart is. Just because I'm gay don't mean I don't go to church. I go to church. And I believe in a higher power. But at the end of the day, I don't have to answer to anyone but God. And until that time, and we all meet him, you know? So until that time, I'm going to live my life the way I want to. Just like everybody else is living their life like they want to. And loving whoever they want to.
We're here for a purpose, and we're just here to really love each other. Everything else is just a problem. Or it just gets in the way. The judging, the stares, the looks, anything else you get from people outside. Like, I have an aunt that's a super Christian, and I mean super Christian. She's one of those Christians that will get on the train and bus and start praying and being loud. You know, I remember her finding out that I was gay, and the way she dealt with it. She wanted to condemn me to 7 hells, I swear. She's always praying and asking God to help me find my way, and I'm like, okay, but where's your way? Where are you? I don't like people telling me how to live my life. I'm happy with that. And as long as I'm happy with who I'm with, why should it matter? God put us on the earth to love each other as much as we can. And he wouldn't punish us for loving another individual, whether it be male or female. For the Caribbean and New York, how important it is to support our gay, lesbian community and transgender and everybody else. We have to come together. We have to. It's kind of like the racism issue in America. Gays now feel like they're not taking us seriously. Like, who are we really hurting? We are no different from you. Just because we love the same sex. Or, you might be transgender and you're attracted to, the opposite sex. It might seem confusing to others, but you know what you want. So it's like, how dare you tell me what's good for me? When you have a community where you can go and just be free, you deserve to be happy. So coming out and supporting and helping other young kids and other even grown adults in their 50s that have been suppressed for so long to just come out and say, hey, breathe, I'm happy, this is me, I'm here. It's important. It's important just to get that out there, like awareness, like we're here. Talk about everything. Let's get this open so people understand that you have somewhere you belong. You have somewhere you're loved, and you have somewhere you're needed. I've always been a whatever kind of person, but because I'm gay, I feel like it's more just freeing. The Caribbean community is a little harder to get out there. I'm pretty sure it's a lot of other people that are very closed-minded like that from other places around the world. But in the Caribbean, it's even in music. They don't even like it in music.
You're sitting there with your girlfriend and you just want to have a good time. Like, you don't want to hear somebody, definitely the DJs talking about some, we're not gay, F gays, and, just going crazy about being gay. And you're sitting there oh, well, he's talking about me then. What do you mean F me? What is the issue?
It's the hate would come from a lot of men.
They don't understand us. They don't understand why we love each other. What can you get out of being gay? How can that person please you? She got the same thing as you. I'm a man. I can do that for you. But they just don't. Yeah, they just don't understand.
You shouldn't have to hide just to be you. It's unfortunate that this is kind of a cycle throughout life. Segregation is something the world is so comfortable with. They don't mind how people feel. They don't care about how you feel. Mm-hmm. It's about what we're modeled to do. What the world thinks of us. Oh my God, it's in the books. It's in the history. You have to stick to this. Times have to change. Exactly. I feel like it's 2015, and if people don't get with it, they have no chance at anything. But it's come out, be free. God knows what's in your heart. So even if you're sitting there hiding behind your beard or your, whatever you want to call it, if you think you're going to hell, you're going to go to hell because you've been hiding yourself for so long. It's not because you expressed yourself. It's because you've been hiding. You're living a lie. Lying to yourself, you're lying to everybody else. What's the point? Be honest with yourself. Come out, be happy, be free.
We have to be different. We have to do different things to make a difference, to make a path. You can't just sit there like the President Obama. He couldn't just sit there and pave the way oh, you're not supposed to be president because you don't look like the other presidents. No, he had to do what he had to do to get where he's at.
Gay equality in the Caribbean, just because someone is different from you does not mean you have the right to hate them or hate the things they do. If it doesn't affect you, it shouldn't matter. It's their life. They have to answer. My mom always said, I can only pray for you. You have to answer to God yourself. That's it. You have to answer to God yourself. So why should you care what other people think of you? No one is going with you. No one was born with you. No one will die with you. You're put on earth to just live your life and be happy. Mm-hmm. I think ultimately that's just what we're here for. Just try to be happy while we're here. Hopefully in the Caribbean, they just open up their eyes to realizing that gay people are just as much as a community as straight people are. We're just as important. We have more important things to talk about, no offense. But there's just a lot. There's a lot. It's a lot of interest, and it's a lot of things we do that are amazing. So why not just embrace us and understand that we're here to love and be loved just like you are. Parents out there watching and struggling with dealing with their kids' sexuality. You have to love the person that they are. You know, you hating them would only make them pull away from you and suppress their life even more. You know, the suicide rate towards gays and lesbians and transgenders has been really high. Like, why do you feel like the only way out is to die? You know, it's sad when you see a mom visiting, you know, a mom or a dad would rather visit their psychotic killer, you know, in jail for raping and dealing with all this stuff and stand by them 110%. But then you have a gay person, which is not even hurting you, has nothing to do with you. And then you're so ashamed of them that you just want to get rid of them out of your life like a stray dog or something. And it's not fair. But unfortunately, you know, as parents, the most you can do is be as supportive as you can be, because you never know, it might be your last conversation with your child about their sexuality before they try to take their own life or something extreme like that.